Hi, I'm Peter Singer, and I'm pleased to answer some questions for the Vegan Catalunya Festival. So the first question is, what are the most important challenges that the vegan movement currently faces, and what individual and collective actions do you consider necessary to achieve significant changes towards a more compassionate and conscious society regarding animal rights? Well, there's lots of challenges. Obviously, the meat industry is the big challenge, and the fact that people are still eating meat on a large scale. I think we need to try to get across the message that this is terrible for animals, terrible for the planet and for climate change, and not particularly good for anyone's health either. So if we can get those messages across, and if we can get a wide range of tasty alternatives, and there are plenty of plant-based products now, then I hope we can make some progress. Secondly, as the demand for plant-based products continues to rise, there's a growing interest in the development of lab-grown or cultured meat. What do I think about that? I favour that, not that I particularly want to eat it myself, but if others who are very much locked into eating meat are going to continue to eat meat, it would be much better if they would eat cultured meat so that no animals would suffer, greenhouse gas emissions would be lower. So that would be a lot better. So it needs to continue to develop, and obviously it needs to get a little cheaper. I have actually tried it in Singapore a few weeks ago. I tried some cultured chicken. Wasn't really enthusiastic about it, I must admit, but still, again, for people who want to eat chicken, it's better than eating chicken from birds. Third question is about animal testing. And how can we balance the need for medical advancements with ethical concerns surrounding animal experimentation? Well, look, a lot of animal experimentation is really not helpful to humans anyway. It's misleading. In my recent book, which I will show you a copy of, Animal Liberation Now, I quote from a former head of the National Institutes of Health in the United States, the biggest funder of animal experiments, who admits that although it's been very helpful for curing cancer in mice, it hasn't really translated into anything useful for animals. Hasn't translated into anything useful for humans. Fourth question is about education. What strategies do I consider most effective in reaching and engaging diverse audiences? Well, I'd like to mention that my book, Ethics into Action, about Henry Spira, has recently been published in Spanish by Plaza y Valdez. In that book, I think Henry has a lot of ideas about how to campaign effectively for animals, including for not eating them. And he has a lot of great ideas about effective strategies. But obviously, anything that is going to have an impact on people, it's an open question as to what is going to work best. So I think we need to try to promote that and let 100 flowers bloom and 100 different ways of educating people be tried out, and hopefully we'll find out which ones work best. One of the things that I saw in a recent research poll, by the way, about why did people become vegetarian or vegan, is through personal conversation was the leading factor. So do get into conversations with people. Do it politely, not self-righteously, but don't underestimate the power of an individual conversation. And after all, about 53 years ago, it was an individual conversation with a fellow student that led me to start thinking about the ethics of what I was eating and away from eating meat. And the final question is, how can we integrate the animal ethics perspective into the decision-making process in politics and the development of public policies? Again, I think Henry Spira had some ideas on that, so look at that Ethics into Action book. But of course, every country is different. What will work in the political process is different. In many countries, the development of a political party for animals has been effective, starting in the Netherlands. As long as you have a proportional representation or preferential voting system and not first past the post, I think it may be useful having parties specifically for animals to give the public an opportunity to vote for those policies and hopefully get into Parliament and get some influence that way. So thanks for the opportunity to talk to you. And by the way, while I'm talking to you, I do hope that Animal Liberation Now will soon be available in Spanish through Taurus. I would love to get it into Catalan as well, but I don't think we have a publisher lined up for that yet. And another book of mine that's in Spanish that I'd like to mention is the translation of my edited edition of The Golden Ass, which is a fun read, a very early 2nd century of the Christian era story by Apuleius about a donkey, perhaps the first novel written from an animal's point of view, and it's a really entertaining read as well, I believe. So it's with Ariel,